let's talk about a controversial topic while I steal this artwork. So unless you have been living under a rock, you will know that OpenAI have developed an AI system within ChatGPT where users can create Studio Ghibli or Studio Ghibli style AI images. And as you can probably imagine, it has created quite a bit of discourse between all communities. Now, I have been very vocal about my feelings about AI generation within the creative industries, and I'm going to be honest, I am tired of talking about it, but that's not going to stop me talking about it even more in this video. So if you decide to stick around and listen to all of this and you want to have your say, absolutely, no matter what side of the fence you are, but just please keep it respectful. Just very quickly before I start, what I'm actually doing here in the video are some master studies. I'll talk about that a little later on. Let's just get into the matter at hand. Okay, so about a week ago, if you were on social media, you probably noticed a massive influx of posts where you could see people were converting their photos into the style of Studio Ghibli. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you here, okay? When you are scrolling, you scroll pretty quickly, okay? So your initial reaction to a piece is going to be instantaneous. So before I even knew anything that was happening, I had seen a few of these art pieces and I really thought they were real. Now, I don't know if that's embarrassing for me as an artist that I didn't immediately recognize that they were AI, but I think the underlying issue here is this has really shown to me and probably a lot of people how much this has quickly developed and how AI is getting better. Now, I'm not going to sit here and preach to people who are not in the creative fields, because at this stage, I feel like it's falling on deaf ears, and perhaps a lot of them either do not understand or do not care for the impact that it has on creatives. But I will tell you right now, I was so stunned when I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw that there were artists, actual artists that I follow, graphic designers, all these people who are creators for a living, who make art for a living using this filter. I'm going to be honest, I was so disappointed. Now, I'm not the kind of person who will make a comment under somebody's posts if I don't agree with them or if there's something I don't like. Usually I will just quietly unfollow because I just don't want to see that person in my feed anymore. You know, I want a nice, happy, easy life. I don't want to be getting into specific arguments with people. I just don't want that. However, I did go to my Threads account and I made this post, and I quote, "I've unfollowed quite a few creatives today after they Ghiblified their photos. Come on now, guys. Seriously?" Now, obviously, AI is a very hot topic at the moment, and it got a bit of attention, I have to say. So I thought I would read out some of these responses, and I will talk through my reasoning and my response to that with you guys. Oh, so you're one of those AI is not creative types. You'll realize this still takes work, right? To be as specific as possible to get the exact result you want from AI takes just as much mental work as it would if you yourself were to draw it. Only thing that's different is you don't draw it. For someone like me, it helps tremendously. I do graphic design and can think of a lot of stuff, but sometimes my skills with illustration aren't always there, but my idea and what I want are 100% solid. Okay, so I've never used AI, I've never experimented with it, and some people are going to say that I'm hypocritical to have any sort of opinion on it if I don't know what I'm talking about. But when it comes to the mental work of trying to figure something out, I'm really not sure how you can equate coming up with correct words and prompts to me figuring out issues with, let's say, technique, lack of, understanding. Maybe it's something to do with anatomy. Maybe my color theory isn't on point. Maybe I'm literally having a bad day. I cannot draw. I cannot think. These are all really common things that I go through regularly when I'm drawing, and there's no easy way for me to get around these. I just have to work through them, and they're all a part of my creative process. The mental work of creating art comes before creating it and during. So I think to say that it takes just as much mental work when creating an AI image, I do not believe that's true. And to this person, I told them that AI has a place, but just not in the creative arts. And basically that I thought it was a pity that they didn't want to invest in themselves and in their graphic design skills. And for me, the sad part of this comment was this person has actually given up on themselves. And I know that sounds incredibly harsh, but at what point do you decide it's not worth the effort anymore to try and develop your skills more so that you can get past the point of difficulty and improve, but instead just hand it over for something else to do? The whole nature of creativity and creating art is the human aspect of it. AI is not a bad thing. Technology is moving at such an incredibly fast pace, and if there's anything that we can do or use to help us perform tasks more efficiently or better than we can actually do ourselves, then that's fantastic. But here's the thing, creating art is not a task. It's one of those things that gives us a deeper insight into the artist. We draw from our experiences, from the things around us that inspire us, and it resonates with other people. That's what makes it an inherently human thing. So if we decide that there is something else that can do it better than us, that's a problem. Okay, here's another one. Something I've never understood as someone with 2 artist siblings, and I myself am a photographer who also stands to lose to AI when people can put in a picture of themselves or their car and tell it how they want the picture laid out, is how AI throwing out a pic in a similar style to someone else's is stealing, but studying their art style and producing a near identical picture, their style, your subject, isn't. Now, I had a bit of a back and forth debate with this person, but what it essentially boiled down to is this person was saying, oh, well, AI looks at a piece of art and copies the style, but when a human does it, that's okay. And I think that is usually general consensus of people who are pro-AI. That is what they will throw at someone who's anti-AI. The whole, oh, well, you're doing it, so why can't we? There's a lot of intricacies to this, but it is not the same. First of all, I believe with this version of ChatGPT, you do need to pay a subscription to be able to create the Studio Ghibli images. So OpenAI are making money from these subscriptions, and also they would be getting funding from multiple investors. So the fact of the matter is they are making money from copyright infringements. Now you can have people coming and saying, oh, but you can't copyright a style. Well, okay, but if you are literally typing into a function, I want this photo in the style of Studio Ghibli, and it's creating that, then yes, it is a copyright infringement. To be honest, the money isn't the important part here, but I thought I would just throw that in too. So let's just talk about how the training is different. For AI to work, it needs to be fed. It won't understand until you give it the materials that it needs. So multiple images across the internet, across whatever, have to be fed into this machine for it to basically have a database of images that it can use. The thing is, it's not using these as reference. It's actually using these images. I distinctly recall there were a group of artists who were doing some investigation. I will link the names when I find it, but they found AI images where actual artist signatures somehow made it into the AI image. So we know for a fact that AI are literally copy and pasting stuff. Now, unless you are an artist who is literally copy and pasting stuff or tracing, we can't do that. The way we train ourselves is we practice by doing studies, and we do this over and over and over again over multiple years. When we create images from reference, we are usually incorporating our own styles, which is another creative result from our constant practicing. And I think one of the most important things here as well is if you are, let's say, referencing a more recent artist. So someone, who's on social media with you and you've used their art as inspiration or something similar to their style, 9 times out of 10, they are going to attribute credit to this person. And I can guarantee you most artists will never have a problem with this, because that is how art has always been created. So in the case of the master studies that I'm doing right now, the artists who created these used a reference in the form of an actual person, and I'm fairly sure that person consented for them to use their likeness. I never have a problem with anyone using my art as inspiration once I am credited as that artist. And the reason why is because I know that's how people learn. Consent is the big factor here. And when it comes to AI, there is no consent. There's been way too big of an outrage and uproar. Artists are not consenting to AI taking their images, and that is the most important difference. I also had a few trolls on that post too, which is completely expected. So somebody said Ghibli is a Disney ripoff anyway, so it doesn't matter. To be honest, we didn't have a very good interaction with each other. I tried to say that they're recognizably very different styles of art and storytelling, but this person just kept trying to goad me, I think. But I mean, if you're happy to have, a chain reaction of rip-offs constantly happening, then that's also a problem, and it's a bad view. I had someone basically insinuate that because I use Procreate, I'm doing the same thing. What? I really thought we were past the whole, using digital art forms as being the same as AI. And funnily enough, this person has a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and yet they're using AI now, so that tells me all I need to know. And there was something else that was brought to my attention during all of this, and it is the most highly contentious issue. And somebody commented that they find it offensive when people use neurodivergence or any other disability as an excuse to use AI for anything. Now, I don't have any disabilities, and I obviously cannot speak for anyone who does have a disability, but I personally feel like that must be incredibly demeaning and insulting for any disabled artist out there right now who is creating art. There are an incredible amount of disabled artists out there, and if there are any able-bodied people using this as an accessibility point to strengthen their argument, that is very, very wrong. But like I said, I cannot speak on it because I haven't experienced it. So if there is anyone watching this video who does have some form of disability and AI is affecting them in one way or another, then I would love to know your reaction to it and how you feel about it. And the last thing I'll say about this for now is AI is inevitable and it's here to stay. And that seems to be the mindset of most people, that if you don't jump on board, then you're just going to be left behind. And honestly, to that, I say, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. I take a lot of joy in creating art and figuring out the problems that I have, the issues I have with skills, technical stuff, issues with my creativity, my art block days, when I'm having no inspiration. Yes, they're difficult, but the great joy in any human endeavor is actually surpassing our difficulties, figuring things out and having that sense of satisfaction that we actually created something and did something despite all of those things. Once we start handing that all over to AI, then what's left? Okay, let's actually talk about the artwork that I'm doing here. I don't want to forget about it. So I decided to do these master studies, obviously so that I could, do a study. But my goal was to use the studies to analyze color and techniques, but also try and do it in a way that I can incorporate my own style. Now, the first piece is called Portrait of Madame Barbe by Franz, Xaver, Winterhalter. And obviously, I did not do this in oil paints, as you can tell. But that's what makes the study more interesting. I'm using a completely different medium. I'm using Procreate. So that obviously gives me the problems that I need to work through in how I can somewhat replicate this portrait using a digital medium and trying to figure out the kinds of tools I'm going to use, such as brush types and painting techniques. The second piece is called Type of Beauty by James Tissot. I think that's how you say his name. And for this one, I think I was a little bit braver and I went for a more textured brush. But listen, my point here is I've attempted to create a study to learn from these artists, but to try and do it in a way that is reminiscent of my style too. Because I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I'm trying to learn from somebody else while still embracing my style. And that is something that AI will never ever be able to do. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not sure how you can enjoy it. It's awful, really. But if you have any comments or views, please put them in the comments. But like I said, let's just please be respectful to one another. I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, I love you.